Hi, friends. It's Shannon from the Ayurveda Wisdom Circle. This is wisdom for yoginis in perimenopause and beyond. We're having a little bit of trouble getting started today. It looks like we're up and running. And I feel just so grateful to be able to share with you from this beautiful, elegant system of traditional medicine coming out of India, Ayurveda. And I've been thinking a lot about what I can offer you in this community to support your understanding of yourself so that you can become your own self healer, so that you can understand yourself, your organism, and how it works, its strengths, its weaknesses, so that you can treat yourself and so that you can find the outside support you need to maintain balance, grow your health and well being all the way through your lifespan. And there's really, no way to get around talking about the doshas, and we need to have a grounding in our constitution and like what does that mean. And, doshas are a word that's made it into the mainstream, and a lot of people understand. They've heard vata, pitta, and kapha. They might even know their constitutional type. Maybe you've taken a test. Maybe you've worked with a practitioner. Maybe you are a practitioner. I'm sure there's some of you that have a deeper understanding of your constitution, and some of you that may not have much of an understanding at all. So I thought today I could help us begin to really get grounded in this idea of Ayurvedic constitution, what it means. I've got some resources for you at the end, so if you don't already know your constitution, you'll be able to determine it or at least get a working knowledge of it. And I have some resources to help you understand how to make the most of your constitution. That's really what it's about. It's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses so that we can really capitalize on our strengths. We can shore up our weaknesses, and learn how to treat ourselves, learn how to become our own self healer, find the people that can support us in this way of creating health throughout our lifespan. So maybe you took a chemistry class in high school and learned about the table of the periodic elements, these components of the universe, the building blocks of everything in the universe. And in Ayurveda, those many are broken down just into five. So, five great elements: space, air, fire, water, earth. These five elements, according to Ayurveda, are in everything in the manifest universe. All of us are made of these five great elements, and it's just a matter of degree, how much of which elements, and that accounts for the great variety in what we see in the world. And those elements are made up of qualities, and those qualities are, how we understand the different symptoms that we have, and how we understand how to treat. So the qualities, there's many qualities we could think of, but they have been laid out as really 10 pairs of opposite qualities, and we use those a lot in understanding the elements and understanding the constitutional types. So hot and cold would be one pair of opposites. Light and heavy, oily and dry, for example. And of course, every opposition, there's a whole continuum, right, of really dry and brittle to, excessively oily, right? And like, where's the balance point there? Okay. So the doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha, are nothing more than a combination of elements and their qualities. And we all have all five elements, just to varying degrees. We also, that means we have all three doshas. We have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha that make us up to varying degrees. And normally we have sort of a lead or dominant dosha, and then we have a secondary dosha that really modifies that dominant dosha. And then the third dosha tends not to be a problem, so to speak. There's actually 7 body types, but that's the most common one. And as I said, I'm going to leave you a link to a constitutional test so you'll be able to start to get a sense of your own constitution today if you haven't done that yet. So, understanding our constitutional type really gives us a sense, again, of our strengths and our weaknesses. And the word for your constitution is in Sanskrit is prakriti, and sometimes it's prakruti. You'll see either one. And prakriti, it means nature. So what is your nature? And your nature was determined right at conception. Right at conception, you have your genetic inheritance, and this is your combination of doshas. And right away, that prakriti, your nature, is modified by the environment. Right? So the moment after conception, right? Conception happens in a certain container, right? There's a gestational environment, 9 months, and then there's early life environment, which the organism, when we're born, we're still very, very impressionable. And so our environment is having an especially powerful impact on us, modifying that set constitutional type quite a lot in the first 7 years and gestation. And throughout our lifetime, our environment is always having an impact on us. And so when we understand our constitution, we understand our strengths and weaknesses, we can start to understand some of the ways our environment impacts us. We can see how some of these qualities, how we can get to one extreme or another on the spectrum, and we can bring in balancing actions to bring us back to a more healthy, stable state. And that's like a return to our nature. So it's a return to our prakriti. So there's another word in Sanskrit called vikruti, and that means against nature. And so from the moment we're conceived, vikruti is a factor, because as our environment is having its impact, it can throw us out of balance right away. And so understanding your nature, your prakriti, from your vikruti is another study in itself, to understand what your real nature is, to unpeel the layers of the onion, to peel away the vikruti, which we could have been living with for a long, long time. So this is the prakriti vikruti paradigm. It's how we understand ourselves, and understanding what the vikruti is in any given moment is to know how to treat ourselves. So vikruti is it's any combination of the doshas that's different from your what was set at conception. So anytime the doshas are registering a little more or a little less than what is your nature is called vikruti, and we always want to treat that, because balance for any one individual is going to be getting back to your genetic set point. And that's understanding your particular ratio of doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So this is why, for example, in perimenopause, women have such a variety of symptoms, right? Maybe you're having hot flashes, maybe you're not sleeping well, maybe you're having digestive imbalance of a particular kind, gas and bloating, perhaps you're having more anxiety, You might be bleeding more often, having more frequent cycles, or less often, less frequent cycles. You might be having heavier cycles or lighter cycles. And from an Ayurvedic lens, we can understand that by understanding Prakriti. And we understand that certain types are going to tend to have more heat. Certain types are going to tend to have, show more anxiety. Certain types are going to tend to bleed more or bleed less. And therefore, there isn't just one herb that's going to be good for every woman going through perimenopause. We really need to look at the symptoms. And even the same symptom can have a different cause. For example, you could be a fire type, which would be having more pitta in your constitution, and you could be dealing with a lot of hot flashes, and it's a purely sort of heat issue, and we need to cool you down. You could also be having hot flashes because there's a deficiency of substance or ojas in your system. And so it's like the coolness has gone down, and so you're registering as more hot versus the heat going up, and you're registering as more hot. And so we might give you some herbs to cool you down, but we would also be working in that second case to build back your reserves. So you can see where understanding constitution and getting more to the root cause of like why are those hot flashes happening can really help us to be more effective in treating right away. So, as I said, I've got some resources for you. I'm going to drop a link to a constitutional quiz, and I'm going to have you take it twice. The first time you'll take it based on what's been true for you most of your life. So I want you to think back to childhood, young adulthood, all through your life as you answer the questions. And if there's more than one answer that's correct for the question, it's okay to mark more than one answer for a question. Okay, so the first time you take the quiz, answer the questions for what's been true for you most of your life. Try to think back to your tendencies all through your life. And then you'll add up the scores. You'll have one for Vata, one for Pitta, one for Kapha. Then I want you to take the test again. And the second time you take it, it's going to be more for Vikruti. So we're going to be looking for, as you answer the questions, what has changed. Certain things never change, right? You have curly hair or you have straight hair. You have blue eyes or you have brown eyes. But other things change, right? You might have gained a lot of weight or lost a lot of weight. You might have more anxiety than you ever had in your early life. So those are the things we're looking for. What's changed recently, or maybe in the last 6 to 12 months or a couple of years, sometime when you notice something really shifting. You'll answer the questions again. Again, if two answers are relevant, you can mark them both. And then you'll make your new totals, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And then we're going to see what is the difference between those two. And the differences are going to show you which doshas are out of balance and where we need to focus the treatment. That's stage one. And that's a lot right there. The second piece of information I'm going to give you is just a booklet, just 8 pages, kind of laying out a little bit more detail about the doshas. And in that booklet are some ways to treat. So right away you can look, okay, if my Vata is high, what are some of the best practices for Vata? If my Pitta is high, what are best practices for Pitta? If my Kapha is high, what are best practices for Kapha? And you'll be able to start to work with that right away and then see for yourself, see if that actually supports you. So there's a little bit of trial and error there. So the recommendations I'm giving for treating Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are very broad. Their approaches, their how we're doing things, their general principles, and you should get some good traction with those. And then if you want to get some deeper support with that, we can talk about that at another time. All right, so let's all get grounded in understanding our constitution. If you've already got a good understanding of your constitution and you're a little bit off track right now in terms of how you're feeling, go ahead and take a look at the booklet and see if there are some things in there that maybe you have forgotten that you can come back to in terms of supporting yourself in present time to feel your best. So everything is medicine in Ayurveda. Everything can be poison or medicine depending on the person and how it's used. And so medicine can come in through diet, medicine can come in through all lifestyle, how we eat, when we eat, how we sleep, how long we sleep, what time we go to bed. All these things can be medicine, and just tweaking the approach to how we're doing things as well as to the specifics of what we're doing, remembering some of the key components that balance the three main doshas should be helpful for you. So I'd love to hear from you in the chat, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.